Hello, my name is Braxton Thornley, and I'm a technology trainer here at UEN. Welcome to another UEN teacher tip. Today we're going to talk about hexagonal thinking, which is a discussion protocol that gets your students to connect ideas in ways that they maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise. Now to do this, we're going to use Lucid. And Lucid is a virtual whiteboard or diagramming tool that you can access for free through Canvas. So today, as we go through our teacher tip, you're going to see me first go into Canvas in order to get to Lucid, which is where we are then going to talk about how to structure a hexagonal thinking activity so that your students can start making some of those really interesting connections. So this is a finished example of what we might be giving students. And just so you know what we're looking at the top we have a key that kind of explains the color coding that's going on here. And we have some different texts that students are going to look at and analyze today, and each text has its own color. Now you'll see that every text also has a number of hexagons, and those hexagons have ideas or quotes from the text. And then we have these three little stars, and students are going to use those to indicate interesting connections. Now, if I were to give this to students, what they would do is in groups, they would take these hexagons and they drag them next to each other to indicate relationships. So you can see those two ideas might be connected to each other. Maybe we pull this idea over here and that connects as well. And now students are able to build kind of like a map of how these ideas or these concepts interact with each other. And again, this is a great way to get students to start connecting ideas from one text to another or from one concept to another. Once they've started to make their map, they can then designate really interesting connections using these stars here. So that's essentially what we're going to build today, and I want to show you how you can go ahead and create it yourself. Now, we're going to begin by actually going to Canvas. So I'm going to open that up here, and we just have a sample course that's opened up, and I'm going to view it as a student. So your students can access Lucid by using the Lucid option in the left-hand navigation right there. Additionally though, you can also access that as a teacher, and you have a second option if you are a teacher. So I have this example assignment that's pulled up here, and when I go to edit that assignment, in Canvas's rich content editor, you'll see that there's a little Lucid icon. And once I click that, that will take me to Lucid as well. Either of those pathways will connect you to Lucid, where you will have full access to a free account. Now I've pulled up Lucid here so that we can start building a little bit. So I'm going to create a new Lucidspark, which is their virtual whiteboard. And you'll see that it takes a second to load, but once it has, I can go ahead and name that whiteboard, and I'm going to just call it Hexagonal Thinking Example. And then after I've named it, I'm then going to be able to start putting some hexagons on my whiteboard. And I can copy those and duplicate those and create as many as I need and color code them. And if you wanted to, you could also create a key just like I did that kind of explains the color coding. Once you've built out as many hexagons or as many ideas as you would like, at that point, you're going to then publish your whiteboard. So you can see I'm going to click on publish here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that off and set it so that I can generate a link for my whiteboard. Now that's going to show me that a link has been copied to my clipboard on my computer, and I'm going to go ahead and just toss that link into a Google Doc, because our next step is I'm actually going to edit the end of the link here. Where it says view, I'm actually going to replace that with edit new. So after I have edited my link, my next step is to give it to students, and I could do that in Canvas or Google Classroom or anywhere else, and they're going to get a copy of my whiteboard. But then they'll need to share it with the other people in their group. So they're going to click that share button, and then right up here, they're going to type in the email addresses of those who are in their group. And they're also going to turn on a shareable link so that they will be able to turn it in to you. And it's important to guide students through that process. Now that process is critical because really we want them to be moving these hexagons together as a group, like you can see me doing here. We want them to be talking about the connections that they find, and we want them to almost challenge each other a little bit on those connections. So today we've looked at an example of hexagonal thinking and how you might facilitate that in Lucid. Now, with that said, hexagonal thinking can really apply to any content area. For instance, if you're a history or social studies teacher, you might use hexagonal thinking to get students to make connections between different movements in US history, or even connections between different civilizations in the world. If you're a science teacher, you might use hexagonal thinking in order to get students thinking about how matter relates to energy. Regardless of how you decide to use hexagonal thinking though, it's a great way to get students talking and thinking. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll catch you on another UEN teacher tip.